the best world would be a world which is at peace and where no peacekeepers are required. But since that is unlikely to happen, we have to realize that the UN peacekeeping essentially brings with itself first and foremost the legitimacy, which derives from the international community, which derives from the mandate being provided by the Security Council, and of course the general membership of the United Nations providing peacekeepers, both in sense of military troops as also in the sense of police, and in addition of course the civilian components which come along with that. Secondly, UN peacekeeping, as it has been found by the General Auditing Office of the United States, is extremely cost efficient. It's a very low cost alternative as compared to the challenges that we find in the world, and of course it has recorded many successes in the past, and the countries are comfortable with hosting UN peacekeepers. So these are some of the reasons why the UN peacekeeping is necessary, but as I told you before, I would of course be happiest in a world where there was no requirement of peacekeepers. Well, essentially peacekeepers on the ground every day have to undertake a work what I call encourage, motivate and facilitate. Encourage the national leaders at all levels, encourage the people to take the right decisions which will take their countries away from destruction and chaos towards peace, stability and development. But encouragement is not enough, because even if people are encouraged to take a decision, they have to be motivated to implement the decision. And once they are motivated enough to implement the decision, obviously they find what I would call our capacity constraints. They do not have sufficient number of people, they do not have sufficient number of staff, they do not know the right laws, in their country they might be lacking in infrastructure, and therefore we have to facilitate the implementation of their decisions. I personally tend to believe that in some ways there are no successes of UN peacekeeping, they don't exist. The successes are those of the countries themselves. It is the country, their people and their leaders who are the basic ingredients of success, and UN peacekeeping of course is happy that we have been a partner with these countries on many occasions, not only Timor-Leste, Liberia, before that Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Angola, Namibia, Mozambique, I can give you any number of examples. There are countless lives that have been saved. There are many countries that have chosen a path which is different, and peacekeeping of course has been very happy to be their partner in that historic journey towards peace and development. I think the main challenges are essentially four. First, the need for any peacekeeping deployment to be accompanied by political processes on the ground. Peacekeeping without an accompanying political process is an enterprise without a defined end goal or an end time limit, and therefore it is not desirable. So therefore the political processes have to go hand in hand with the deployment of peacekeepers, and occasionally that has not been the case. Secondly, the unity of the international community, which is critical for the success of peacekeeping. If the countries or parties in a conflict discover that the international community somehow is not united on a particular course of action, the spoilers would obviously want to take maximum advantage of that difference of views which prevails within the international community. Third, resources. And resources does not mean financial alone. Resources means the required number of troops, the required number of policemen. For example, we require about 17,000 policemen and women. But so far, with our best efforts, we have been able to secure only 13,000. So 4,000 policemen and women are lacking, which is quite a high percentage. Similarly, in helicopters, we require about 137 military helicopters, but we have only 69. So nearly 50% of helicopters are also lacking. So we need the required resources so that we can meet the goals which are enshrined in our mandate. And finally, I think there is a need for greater training, greater clarity on part of the peacekeepers, and there it is our role to ensure that our rules of engagement are clear, that our peacekeepers know precisely what is expected of them and how they are to accomplish it. I would think as Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said in a meeting of the Security Council that she believes that peacekeeping is an extremely important role for the United Nations as a whole. And this support for peacekeeping, I think, is critical. US lead role not only as the largest financial contributor, but also the lead role in the political domain to assist our efforts to bring peace to those countries is, of course, again extremely important. And in many cases, when there is a sudden crisis which emerges, for example, the earthquake in Haiti, we have been very grateful for the immediate support which has been provided by the United States through its Southern Pacific Command in the post-earthquake. Similar support should continue, goes without saying. I would also think that it would be quite critical for the United States to continue to support the efforts of the Secretariat within the Security Council to ensure that a more cost-effective, more efficient, more targeted intervention can take place.